Hello, YouTube fam. Your host Oyin is here, and welcome to Letoyinspeak. Today's episode, Beyond the Vows. I'm gonna dig into what makes marriage thrive, not just survive. And a quick disclaimer before I proceed: I just want you to all know, if you're new here, I am no relationship expert, and I have zero certificates on these things. But let's just say I'm a woman with life bruises, a moral compass that I'm still calibrating, and a passion for real talk. So if you're expecting a textbook advice, please just exit now, because fam, could it work? I just want you to know that this is raw, like a raw suya pepper in your eye. It's just going to be me just breaking down the nuts and bolts in some aspects of relationship, and like how money and planning keeps a relationship. It keeps a relationship steady. I'm going to talk about commitment, and also why love alone isn't enough, and why character trumps chemistry any day, anytime. And then I'm just gonna unpack on why cheating isn't always the worst thing that could happen in a marriage. So let's jump in, fam. And the first thing first, please just throw everything you think you know about marriage out. Okay, just throw them out the window. So whatever my dreamy movie you've seen that you dole your eyes about, just throw that out. It's not, throw it out the window. Because listen, if you've been married for at least 2 years, you must have realized by now that the I do at the altar, you know what it was for. And for those who don't know, the gag is, it wasn't for photo ops or ashrebi. It was a contract that we signed with just 2 words: I do. And the I do applies to our everyday life. It's for better, for worse. And let me emphasize, it is worse, not worst. Because that worst is your lifeline. As kókó, marriage is not a do or die. It's not a do or die affair. So for worse is me choosing my own partner daily, even after their family drama. Even if their family drama is messier than a Nollywood plot titled Agbelebue ni Okwe, Agbelebue ni Yahweh. So regardless of how messier your different family is, regardless of whatever messier your life is, when you come together, it's a commitment, right? So that's why commitment is the first thing I'm going to touch, because commitment to me is staying on top of your game all the time. It's like an upgrade all the time, like consistency all the time, so that when life throws you some hot cough serve, and it will throw you curveballs, okay? Curveballs like a job loss, the struggle of raising a kid together, because you come from 2 different backgrounds, you were raised differently, so your parenting skills will differ. And all of that is different for everyone, and it's really, really all about you being committed. And when I tell you commitment is not glamorous, guys, it's not as glamorous as people think it is. Commitment is staying when your partner's business crashes. Commitment is staying when your partner has a setback. Commitment is when depression hits. Commitment is when all that honeymoon phase, that lovey-dovey feeling, they've packed their bags, and they've left. So I'm just gonna let me just paint you a picture of what let's say couples that they have this strong foundation. They started out together. Husband has a very booming business, or wife has a booming business. Again, honeymoon phase, fresh love, and then boom, recession hits, because things ain't easy out there. And then let's just say it also dries up overnight, and then society to make things worse, because they've told men that society has told him that men don't cry. They told us men don't cry. So men will swallow all this pain that they carry, the burden that they carry, the pain in their life without showing anyone, without expressing it to anyone, without talking to anyone. And then on the other hand, on the other side of things, the wife feels neglected and possibly depressed that there is no attention, because that's most of the things that we want, right? You see that small disconnect of not being on the same page and disconnected. That is something small because it is redeemable. As huge as people think, oh, neglect and all of that stuff, the things like that, they are so redeemable, because if you chose consistency, like if you and your partner now chose consistency over chaos, I tell you, it is so redeemable for you guys to work things out. Because my truth is that, you see all that love, that honeymoon phase of I fell in love with you, you fell in love with me, eventually it will fade, because it just, I can't explain it, but it fades away, okay? Because I have been in love with my husband for a very long time, so much so that I fell out of it because of issues that are in marriage that we've gone through, that it has gone beyond falling in love with him, of all this dry spell of love, and instead it has grown into a strong friendship, okay? Because if you think about it, after friendship, what is left? A solid friendship? Because when I tell you this dude is my G, is my partner in crime, and just like any other friend, we take advantage of each other. We take advantage because you complement each other, and then you take advantage of each other. So what we've done is it sets its boundaries for me so that I don't overstep, because like any other friendship relationship thing, we always overstep. So I am still setting my boundaries, because even friends again can overstep. And the takeaway is that commitment isn't something that you feel, it's a choice that you make. And to me, I feel like it's a bedrock that holds you when love fades or when love goes on vacation. And trust me, Cupid will go on vacation, on a long vacation. Now, another thing is one of my favorite, and anybody that knows me knows. Ladies, raise your hands if you love money. No shame, because me, I am guilty as guilty can be. I love me some money, and that's the reason why I am a onokowoja kind of person. I will do anything legal for money. I hustle, and I hustle hard. I wear many hats as onokowoja. That's pretty much what it means. And you can't really blame ladies for wanting what we want. We love money, and the folks that keep poking and judging us about loving money, especially you men, don't you love money? You don't want liability, and you don't want women. You don't want a woman that is not working. You don't want a woman that won't work. You don't want a woman that won't bring in something. You can't even decide whether you want her to work or whether you don't want her to work. I feel like a strong man will be okay with his woman working, because those that don't want their wives to work, I just feel like they fear that what they did to that woman at some point, they fear that they will do unto them. And besides, who's keeping scores if not someone that is weak-minded? My point is, who does not love money, right? But how it plays into a relationship, into a marriage, is that it comes with trust and transparency. And there are two different things, even though it comes with these two things. Trust and transparency are two different things. But that transparency, because you both have to be transparent about your finances, about your earnings, about your debt. You have to be transparent about whether you so you handle kids' expenses, and it covers every single thing. Every single thing. Then it discovers that you've been building a home or a house back home for your family member, and then you kept it in secret. And he addresses it with you, and you blew up. His issue was not the cash, it was the hiding. And you need to understand, everyone needs to understand that money talks they're not sexy. But financial intimacy, align on budget, debt, and a ours versus mine. Establish financial transparency with your partner, or just watch resentment moving rent-free in your home. Because if you think he's mad because you spent money on your family, you've totally missed the point. You know about is because it was transparent with you, or she was transparent with you, and he now finds stuff like that out. It's the secret that kills. Now, this might not apply to some, but this scenario applies to most. If you want separate accounts on one side and, billing and budget on the other side, that's great too. But financial security is a major thing, and a lot of men might not believe this, but it builds trust for everyone. And it's not just men. This also applies to women too, because before you guys will now start saying it, and women too. But it builds trust for everyone involved, not just women, as most of you use as scapegoats. Everybody loves money. The idea of money when you're single is romantic, but it is not when you're in a relationship or when you're in a marriage. It's a whole different ballgame. So it is important for you to discuss money with your partner, even though it's not dicey, but it still needs to be said. It is not sexy at all, but once that order of that discussion is established, I guarantee you it is a life-changing, and even it bonds you as man and woman. But now, let's look into the woman who does it all until she breaks, because you can't do it all. It's not an easy job. Okay, picture this: a woman who is dutiful, who is supportive, who's supportive, vacation funded, supportive, sorted. Even her husband's upkeep is covered, all while praying for him to find himself someday. But here is the kicker: he won't lift a finger at home. If a woman is doing everything for you and you're not lifting a finger at home, His Royal Highness still demands service, still wants control over her money, even though his last real income was when Bitcoin was extremely cheap for everyone. But ego won't let him take the job is beneath me jobs, right? And while she's out there grinding like a generator in December, we all know how that goes, because eventually it will pack up. Now, ask yourself, if you know a woman that is doing all of this, like if the woman is your sister, would you tell her to keep going? To stay with a man who contributes nothing, not cash, not care, not even presence? Would you tell them to stay? Because you have to understand that marriage is a we, not a me. You don't drain someone's space and call it love, because could it work? And okay, now let me flip the script before men start what about using with us. Yes, women can be just as guilty, because you have to imagine a husband who used to show up for you, right? Who used to show up, cooked, clean, spoils you, and now you, the woman, you're the breadwinner, maybe after relocating abroad or change of environment, and it's completely different from the way the old culture thing is in back wherever you're from, right? And suddenly now you are the breadwinner. Now suddenly headache when he needs you. You have headache when he needs you. You intentionally neglect his needs. No cooking, no warmth, no effort at all. And the key word here is intentional. You're doing it intentional. This isn't about women with lazy partners. This isn't about you're with a man that is lazy because he's been there for years for you. This is about betraying a man who once gave you his all. And that kind of trust, once it's broken, whether from a man or a woman, it might be forgiven, but it leaves a stain. And the core truth is that marriage isn't about keeping scores. It's about not letting your partner down, whether in bills, whether in loneliness, whether or resentment. If you are the one thriving while they're sinking, ask yourself, would I survive if roles were reversed? Because love with when you reciprocate love, right? It's just expectation with a ring, okay? Because love without reciprocating is just that. It's like you're exploiting someone because you gave them a ring. There are worse things in marriage than cheating. And unfortunately, and sadly as it is, there are worse things that you can do in your marriage than cheating. Because let's be clear about one thing. I'm not talking about people who can kill like wives that pass on another man's child to a husband, or men with zero regards to their wives and marry another woman in another state or another country. I'm not talking about those despicable people, but cheating isn't always the worst betrayal in marriage. Okay? Because let's be real, infidelity, it hurts. But is it the ultimate marriage killer? Not always. Some betrayals can cut so deep than a one-night stand. And that is a case of trusting when things go south for your partner. That is another killer in the marriage. I'm not talking about extreme cases, of what I said earlier, women passing off another man's child as their husbands, or men who secretly marry a second wife abroad. I'm not talking about those ones. Those aren't just betrayals. That one is atrocity, okay? But day to day, in a marriage, the slow killers are contempt, is neglect, is emotional abandonment. Those are the things that can rot a marriage from inside out. So cheating makes headline. Everybody knows, oh, he cheated, and then, it makes like a headliner. But consistent disrespect, apathy, those are the silent killers in marriage. Men versus women is different. The cheating for men and women is completely different. That is another thing again, because a man might, a man might just slid up, right? With my stick is piped with just randos, like random women, no emotion, just a reckless moment. But women is different, because us women, we are like agbe, we are like farmers. We don't just let anyone dig into our soil. If a woman cheats, chances are she's been emotionally neglected for years. And the real truth here is that cheating, regardless of however excuse, however reason, however rando, however farmers, whatever your soul is, cheating is as bad, and it's also a choice. It is a choice. Emotional abandonment, that is just slow death. When your partner stops seeing you, they stop caring for you, stop caring about you, and they stop fighting for you, that is when the real damage sets in. And that is harder to fix than a one-time mistake, than one-time sleep, than... Guys, love isn't enough. I'm so sorry for all of you romantics out there. I love me some good romantic movies, but I know that love isn't enough. Love might have brought you to the altar. Another thing is, when I say love isn't enough, right? I'm sorry to break it to you romantics, but love is what brought you. Love is what made you say yes to your partner. Love is what made you walk down the aisle. Love is what brought you to the altar. But you know what keeps you there? It is respect, it is shared value, and then it is trust. In emphasis on the trust. See, when love fades, what do you think is left? Because if your foundation is weak, the whole house will just crumble, right? It just crumbles. Now, sacrifice without one person sacrificing and the other person not reciprocating it, it just breeds resentment. And resentment, that's a poison that makes your love disappear fast. And the real question you have to ask yourself before you obsess over physical betrayal, I'm not saying, cheating one time and the fourth time is not just as hurtful. My point is, before you obsess over that physical betrayal, just ask yourself, does my partner see me? Do we still have each other's back? Is there still some kind of care behind, when we fight, do we still care about each other, right? Because a marriage can survive cheating, but it can't survive emotional neglect, right? So stop fixating on infidelity as the ultimate deal breaker, ultimate sin, because the real danger isn't about a moment of weakness. It's a lifetime indifference. And then when you think about trust, on the other hand, the foundation that holds everything together, to me, is trust. And at the core of every strong marriage, I feel like trust, not just fidelity, right? But the kind of trust that says, I got you, baby girl, I got you. Even in your weakest moments. Trust means I'm looking at this dude, and with all of his weakness, I'm saying I got you, right? Trust means protecting each other's dignity, not exposing, their shame when they fail. Trust is being in a safe place, like looking at someone, even when they are down, I'm not kicking them. And when they are down, maybe when they're jobless, struggling, or insecure, that they know that I am a safe place. I am their safe place. You are their safe place. Honoring each other's value you're honoring each other's value, and you're not weaponizing your position when you're the one holding the financial strings. Like, real life trust is when my husband or your wife, they lose their job, right? The real life test of trust is when my partner loses their job, and instead of me supporting them, you mock them when they are down. Like, now all of a sudden, because she doesn't have a job, she doesn't know how to cook, she's not cleaning well enough, or she's overspending on grocery that she has been paying dollars, a lot of money for, or maybe now when something spoils, or she sees something she's not doing or is not doing, you start saying, because he didn't buy it, she didn't buy it. Those, and then, or women that withhold sex, you withhold intimacy. When you know that sex is like their life, right? That's not just disrespect, it's breaking the trust at the deepest level. There's some things that are so much more hurtful, and when you break someone's trust, it's broken. You might still being married, but it's broken. It's pampering, and men, pampering your wife isn't just about, food. Food is okay, but food is not the way to pamper your wife, okay? It's about knowing her love language, knowing his love language, whether it's romance, whether it's word of affirmation, whether it's an act of service, or meeting her where she wants you to be, seeing her, singing him. And women, just because your man has a rough patch, especially when you relocate from to a Western world, or business failure, doesn't make him less of a man. If he's been good to you before everything happens, you have to multiply that energy, multiply that energy back to him. Even when you're frustrated, do not take it out on him. Do not be angry. Do not, don't be that woman who rubs her own rain in his face. Because how you treat him or your wife at their lowest moment, how you treat your partner at their lowest moment, will define your marriage forever. Because marriage thrives on partnership. It doesn't just sit on just the love. Because when you think about it, love is like a spark, but partnership is the fuel. The chemistry will fade, but character is what keeps you together. And when we say communication is key. But men, when I tell you trust is the lock, trust is the lock, okay? Because you have to ask yourself, can I trust my partner with my secrets? Can I trust my partner when I'm down? Can I trust my partner with my finances? Can I trust my partner to have my back when I'm at my worst? If your answer is no, then kókó, what's the point? And the final thing that you just have to think about is marriage isn't about perfection. It's about two flawed people choosing each other daily. So you have to build on, ladies and gentlemen, don't be the reason your partner wants to succeed just because of the way you've treated them. Inspiration can be drawn from so many things, including hate. Always remember to watch your tongue, treat others the way you want to be treated, and I cannot emphasize that enough, because marriage is mostly great if you love yourself. Giving it actually starts with you. So respect and empathize with each other. It's not easy being a career woman and the cleaning, cooking, all of that, and then just because you paid for the mortgage, paid for everything or paid for all of it, doesn't mean that it's not just as tiring for the woman. And women also need to understand that it's not easy for a man to shoulder everything, all the finances, especially when you're working, okay? It's really important for you to appreciate each other. Love does not fix most things in marriage, including communication, that we've said that it's important. But partnership does. And at the same time, building on love does not mean that you have to rely on it, because the things that last are the compromises, the planning lasts, the memories that we make, it lasts. So build on those good stuff. Love is not enough. Please understand this, because that butterfly vibe that you feel in your stomach, that isn't love. It's just the character of your partner. So your honesty is more important than that love that you think it is. Being a reliable person is important. Having accountability is kind. Being kind-hearted even when you're under pressure, or the way you talk about your family to your family. These are the things that matters, and it matters long term. And chemistry that you think, oh, we have chemistry, it would erupt like a volcano. And eventually, your character will endure, okay? If I can't trust you, then kókó. So you just have to ask yourself, can I trust you with money, with our family, with our secret? If you have failed your partner in this trust, and you're not sure, that maybe there's some things that you've said, I think you need to, apologize. It cannot be forgotten, but it can be forgiven, all right? And you have to know that chemistry will not save you from this. What you put into a woman is what she will give back to you, and vice versa for women also, for men also. Marriage is not for the faint-hearted. It takes a lot of investment. It takes a lot of commitment. It takes a lot of financial teamwork. And a focus on character is really important over any fleeting chemistry that you think you have. Understand that love is a start, but it's not the whole story. And that cheating isn't always the biggest threat. It's not always the biggest. It's not the worst thing a man can do to you. Build on trust. Talk about planning, showing up for each other. Talk about money early. Prioritize respect over any passion. And most importantly, choose someone whose character you can openly chase. You can chase somebody for also your phone, right? Because it's really important. So I think that's about it for me. What's one thing that you think is worse than love, or than cheating in a relationship? I'd love to hear that in the comment section. And remember, everyone has a limitation, okay? No one can be a yardstick for another person, okay? Because your stories are different, you're different people. What someone can withstand for years, some people cannot even withstand for 2 months. And remember, it's not working is not sexy. It's a turn off to a woman. Men can even still endure. They might treat you somehow, but not working for anyone is not sexy at all. So empower yourself, okay? And all in all, remember that everyone has limitation. No one can be a yardstick for another. It's really, really important for you to understand that. So that's about it for Letoyinspeak. Again, the title is for today's episode is Beyond the Vow. And I know it's a little bit long. I will try and keep it short, but don't forget to subscribe, share, and thank you so much for listening. Until we see you next week. Bye-bye.